So you're now familiar with how to start looking for defining characteristics: form, ornament, material, construction, production. But sometimes, rather than use these things in a strict sense, they can only serve as a tool, a kind of compass to guide you through the analysis. With this minimalist interior, for example, how would you describe the form? We don't see the entire room here, or the plan, or the exterior of the building, so it's hard to comment upon the overall shape. Perhaps the only thing we can say is that the form is minimal. There is almost nothing here. As for ornament, one answer is clear. It's the material, the texture, the interest of the concrete, but also the light, right? The interaction of the light with that material, as well as the atmosphere it creates, provide the most visible and impressive ornamental qualities of the space. We might also include the two sculptural minimal sensuous sofas, which, like the light, contribute to the overall aesthetic by softening the cold, hard quality of the concrete. Material, again, concrete and industrial material. But can we say that the light is a material? I think so. It's a measurable entity and an important part of the design. Without the light, this would be nothing other than a factory or a garage or an airport hangar. It is the light that makes it a creative statement. So altogether, what do we have? Actually, not much at all. Concrete and light, and perhaps the sofas. Extremely minimal. So I've just reviewed with you what does it look like. Now, in terms of why does it look like that, the context, that is for you to answer on your own. Why the industrial materials? Where did that come from? And why the light? Why is the light invited in such a prominent way? What role does that play? And why did this aesthetic arise? What caused this to happen? Here's a bonus question. I didn't address this directly in class, but considering everything you've seen in the last two lectures, why do you think minimalism has continued to be so popular with certain people? It began for certain reasons and has changed a bit, but not only has it never fallen from favor, if anything, its appeal has increased. Why do you think that is? There is so much to say about Frank Gehry's work and about deconstructivism, but let's just focus on a few things that are evident in this project. Number one, what was deconstructivism about? What were the deconstructivists trying to do, and how do we see that expressed here? Number two, Gehry spoke about the influence of Cubism in this particular project. How is that expressed here? Number three, we say that deconstructivism is a postmodern style because it took positions that were deliberately opposed to modernist principles. How is the modernists' veneration of perfection addressed here? And number four, how is this project also a reflection of high tech and the new interest in recycling discarded materials? All of the important points about this piece were covered in the lecture. We spent a lot of time on this page going over it and talking about how this piece expresses the context of the 1990s. So review those points and be sure you can see the relationship between characteristics and context. I gave no style name for this piece. That's not to say that someone somewhere hasn't made up some kind of name for this kind of work. But as far as I know, no widely accepted official term has been established. However, there is an adjective frequently used to describe such pieces, and that is virtuoso. Where did that term come from? What does it mean? Also, in terms of form, ornament, material, and production, I would say the most important here is form. Why? Because the organic shape and the sleekness are expressions of the specific context that has shaped much progressive design since circa 2000. What causes this kind of form? So, though we saw that modernism went through a bit of a rough patch at mid-century, it never disappeared completely, but continued to ebb and flow, enjoying varying degrees of popularity. Just as the iconic furniture designs of the early moderns are still with us and are classics, so the international style in architecture has remained with us and is now usually referred to as late modernism. People like Charles Guathamy and Richard Mere are the greatest and most loyal standard bearers of this architectural philosophy, still based firmly in the values of Le Corbusier, Gropius, and Mies. This house, though, is more reminiscent of Farnsworth House than, say, the master's houses at the Bauhaus. How is that? What does this design have in common with Farnsworth House?